Hey everyone, what's up? Welcome to the 16th episode of HLTV Confirmed, the Christmas special, I guess we could call it. And
Or
as you
not.
oh, here we go already.
Next week.
We're not gonna have this discussion, just so you know. Quick little recap of the discussion we had at HLTV yesterday. Prof doesn't seem to think that Christmas is on the 24th. We'll leave it at that.
Prof thinks correctly. I mean,
Yeah.
he has
See,
my
this is
support
why
in
this is why I didn't
so.
want to get. Oh, this is already going downhill. It's been 10 seconds and it's already the worst show. We can discuss
you
it
can
maybe
write
later.
in chat just 24 or 25. When is Christmas? Just write that number, and we'll figure out that later.
Let's start it. See, we have
STYKO,
with us
this
today
guy, who's this man?
the man to weigh heaviest on the scale, STYKO, who says 24. Wait, Martin, I think your message was deleted in the chat actually.
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, hey, STYKO, what's up? Thanks for joining us today. So glad you could make it. Also to you, Joe, Prof, you, I guess, too. I'm Musarian, and welcome to the 16th episode of HLTV Confirmed. The Tractor is with us tonight. How you doing, Martin?
Hey everyone, thanks for having me. It's been actually a long time that we were discussing HLTV Confirm show, but never came to it.
Yeah.
Was kind of busy with the team, but I've been doing great. Enjoying some time off with family and friends, finally, after a long season. So yeah, I'm here. I'm happy to be here and hope it will all go well.
Yeah, I had to go toe to toe. I had to meet you and kind of threaten you in real life, Winter.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't even talk to you. I didn't even approach you, and you were like, "Okay, so when is the next show? I guess I'll come on then." Okay, it'll be okay.
Yeah, we were talking to each other at Twitter, but then when I saw you, I was like, "Who the hell is this ginger guy?" And I'm like, okay.
That's fair, I guess.
Then you introduce yourself finally.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for joining us. Also, Joe, it's joining us from Manhattan at 2:00 p.m. I guess it is. Is it now 2:00?
2:02.
2:02 in New York. And Prof, who is with us back from a slew of events that
after a month or so
prevented him from going on the show.
Yeah.
We've been, of course, talking behind your back the whole time. I know you have been talking behind our backs as well, so welcome back. You have some stories, I hope, from the most recent event you did in Abu Dhabi.
It was interesting.
It was interesting. We'll get to that. But first, let's get back to talking to you, Martin. You said that I noticed that you were very active on Instagram, and when you were teasing that you were going to come on the show, you said that you were going to talk about one of the craziest years in your life or something like that. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
So yeah, I also said it was one of the most stressful for obvious reason, because I had at one point I had actually at 2 points I had really no clue what's going to happen. It was a year ago after the major when there were rumors of me being removed from the team, and then when I was actually removed or benched rather. So yeah, actually it was one of the stressful ones, but also one of the most successful ones in terms of evolving, not as a player only, but as a person as well. I understood what real values mean in CS and in team environment. So I'm hoping to only improve in that one in 2019. So yeah, it's been great. We didn't win. Well, we won 2 trophies, but I would rate it as the most successful year anyway. So even though in previous years we won trophies as well, but I think it's just how it is.
I mean, the competition was like the strongest ever, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So going back to the rumors that you addressed there, which at that point didn't end up happening. You didn't end up leaving the team before that, but then you did. What's that like as a player, having those rumors surrounding you?
It's well, I always previously I experienced it in a team when it actually didn't come from teammates. It was rumors from other sources. For the first time I heard it from Richard Lewis when I met Joe actually here when we were at the Boston major. We were sitting at the restaurant or something like that, and he mentioned, or Richard Lewis mentioned at that time, that there's rumors that I might be replaced, and there's hints towards Dennis. Obviously, I scoffed at that, and I didn't believe it, because there were just no hints from my teammates whatsoever. And then after the major, it came to the point that we talked with the management and everything, but everything as we discussed later, was just misunderstanding. There were, I think there was interest in. I'm not from which side. Either from Dennis to join or from Mousesports to join him. I'm not sure on the details, and I don't want to discuss that right now. But it all turned well, and right after that, we came into the most successful period of Mousesports. I would say we peaked on rank 2. We succeeded at the V4 Gaming Festival in Budapest. We won there, but although there has been quite a low competition in terms of teams. And then after that, I mean, right before that, we won Star Series in Kiev, which was one of the highlights of this year for me. It was a great tournament with great teams and incredible final against home crowd when we won against Navi. So it was, everything's bad happening for a reason, and I just took it as a good learning lesson, and it motivated me, and we had quite a successful spring.
And then obviously comes the big one for you this year, the removal of you from the team, bringing in Snacks, you going to America to play with Cloud9 and all that hassle. Snacks not doing that well, them bringing you back. I mean, do you look back on the year and go, well, there was a bunch of needless shit here. I mean, you could have just kept me and it would have been great.
Well, we could argue other way around, that it could go worse and worse, and it could come to the point where they would not bench me, they would just remove me, So I'm grateful for the fact that I got chance to play on Cloud9, and it wouldn't happen without such a bad thing as me being benched. As I mentioned multiple times in HLTV interviews, the journey in California taught me a lot. I learned how to behave myself in other team environment. I learned what's better for me. The guys in Cloud9 had different approach towards things like team discussions and everything, and I'm trying to just bring it back here because I think it's needed. It's what we lack of in Mousesports. We're not really good at that aspect. So hopefully in 2019 I'm gonna start on the first bootcamp or LAN or whatever it is, which is minor. If anything comes up as an issue, I want to talk about it rather than just boil it inside of the player until one explodes and everything goes to crap.
Do you mean that you don't really talk things out in the team? Or because Rob said something similar to me when I interviewed him in Unce as well, that you might lack a little bit of vibes with each other, or that you aren't maybe as close as some of the other teams that you see having great success?
Yeah, I'm not really sure that we don't talk things out, but I don't think we're talking them out correctly. I think we are very heated people when it comes to that. Maybe we took it on the offensive side when we really just don't want, me as a not English native speaker and my teammates as well, when we say something that is bothering us, the other side seem they may take it offensively, even though we don't mean it that way, but we don't know how to say it in different words, because our vocabulary is not that great, and our intonation and everything, it plays a role in everything. So we just want to create, or I just want to help my team create an environment where they feel more safe talking about things that they bother them. Sometimes, let's say, this is an example how it goes. If someone doesn't like certain strat, you don't want to say this strat is shit, but you don't know how to say it in different words. And the guy who created the strat or who proposed it to play it in a match is gonna get offended. And this is not how things should work. And sometimes it works this way because we are just not used to speaking English on that kind of level. So that's what I learned at Cloud9, and I want to talk about it in more open conversation rather than, we don't want to insult each other. We're teammates. We're here to win. We're here to perform. So let's just keep it that way, and we're going to continue working better.
I mean, Raps also said that working on these things might put you on some of the same levels as the teams like Astralis, or the ones that are maybe a little bit above you. There aren't that many, but they certainly are. That they have obviously something right going with them on the psychological side as well. So, I mean, can you tell me a little bit about what it was then in Cloud9 that they did that you were so inspired of? Because you weren't there for that long, I mean.
Yeah, I wasn't there for that long, but I got to meet people who weren't necessarily part of the team. They had a psychologist that I chatted with. I even shared the room with him at my first event in ESL Cologne with Cloud9. We got into talking, and I realized that this kind of person might be really helpful. I was always skeptical about getting a psychologist for a team because I thought I don't need it, or my teammates won't need it. They will never talk to him and stuff like that. But in reality, I was, I wasn't open-minded at all about psychology. I always thought about things like you see in the movies when you come to the psychologist to the room and you just talk to the guy who writes down the notes and he judges you and he, this is not how it works at all. In Cloud9, it was this really great guy which you just had a conversation with about literally anything. Like you could say that this player is not putting enough work, and instead of he listened to you, and then he helped you confront this guy. So he just invited both of us in a private chat. Let's say that he took you in a like room or whatever, and you just talk things out with him being the leader in this conversation, not you talking to certain player that you dislike or dislike his behavior. It was him who just ask you the right questions, and all you had to do was just nod the head, yes or no. And then he asked the question to the other guy. He nodded, or yes or no. That's how the conversation went. Because you are not really comfortable talking about others' mistakes as well, right? You don't want to point out things that are happening wrong in a team. But sometimes you have to, and this kind of middle guy, such as sports psychologist, can help in this way.
Sounds like you need one of those in more sports.
Well, I honestly, I would prefer having one. I don't know about my teammates though.
Yeah, because everyone needs to be on board, right? Or it won't work. By the way, Joe, Prof, if you want to ask this man, beautiful man, in this nice hoodie a question, you can go ahead. About the year he's had. Anything that comes to your mind, you can speak out.
I have one actually. I'm curious. Obviously, when you're with Cloud9, Valens is there as the coach, and I'm wondering kind of what is difference between his coaching style and LMBT. Obviously, he's looking to step back into more of an analytical role, which is kind of what his background is in.
Well, that's been the reasons. Well, I'm gonna start with things that they have in common. They've been both preparing game plans. Only real difference was that Soham or Valens was just writing it out at the paper, printing it out so people could have it, at the table when they were chatting between the maps or something at the LAN, so you could always read it. Whereas LMBT just kind of we have talked before the match and before each map, and we just talk it through. I don't know which I prefer. It doesn't matter. I have good memory, so I think I remember everything that LMBT says before. What's the difference? I don't really know. I feel like okay, I'm gonna start with this one. I actually met Valde in Dallas after party, and he told me that Zonic is such a great coach that he's a father and analytical coach at the same time in one person. And in Soham, in Valence, I had a feeling that he was more of a father kind of type of thing, to make sure everything is in a comfort zone, and little less like falling a little bit behind on analytical stuff. But on Sergey or LMBT, I think he's more analytical. Like he's great at analytical with numbers, with statistics. He knows where we have flaws, our win ratios, and everything. But he lacks in the terms where he doesn't, mold us together that much as other coach that I have experience with, which is Balance. And Zonic is apparently, from what I heard from Valde, he's apparently just a great combination of both. So it's not like Astralis is great, 5 individual players. They also have a golden coach in Zonic.
I mean, it's got to be really rare, right, to find someone that can actually do both.
Yeah, it's really tough, but I don't know. It helps that father has he's a father as well, and
he's actually a father. Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with it.
Hmm. What about your own roles? I remember we did an interview with you when you had just joined C9 and you were like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And I remember the picture we even used for that interview was you looking at a bunch of notes, which I really liked. Because the quote was something along the lines of, I'm learning something new every day. Or so what did you bring back in game from that period of time in America? Is there anything, because it looks like you sort of had the same role as before in mouse sports. I mean, it is your preferred role, I guess. But what did you learn on the server?
Well, I'm gonna just repeat myself. I already said in that interview that what I brought back is how to. I learned how to use players better, my teammates. I learned how to not be the one who is being used all the time. You know, we found a common middle ground in between the fact that sometimes I have to make a play as well. That's what I'm trying to bring into mouse sports right now as well. I'm trying to use Chris more on certain maps where he's playing close to me. Sometimes I'm using Oscar on maps where on my position is needed op. So I didn't really do that before. And even if I asked for help, it was him or the guy who I asked to coordinate the setup instead of me, which I think is wrong right now in a hindsight, because I know more about the specific area of the map because I'm playing there literally every round, you know. So I should be the one calling this stuff, but I had in my mind kind of engraved that he's a playmaker, let him do the stuff and I will adapt to him, whatever he's comfortable with. But right now I'm maybe sometimes asking for things that are not really comfortable for my teammates, but it's a trade-off, you know. I think I know better than my teammates what I have to do on my spots.
Is that something that you think is like a general thing for players in your position, that they're kind of relegated to the support role, and then it's very easy to set your mind to it in such a way that you might, you know, hinder your actual playing in game?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. It is necessary to understand that if you have a capability of talking great, and in my positions you have to talk great, then you should use your voice to tell players what to do. Even though I don't want it to sound, you know, like I'm telling them what to do as a, you know, dictator, like you do this, you do this. But I want them to appreciate me and my ideas better, because I think this is what's the benefit. And so far, I think it's been working better than before in most sports, for me personally and for the areas on the maps that I'm holding.
I'm curious to something that pertains to when you came back, or I mean, I guess also afterwards, because it was obvious to most that the Snacks thing wasn't really a great fit, even though they won in New York. So was there any time when you came back when the other guys were like, "Oh, thank God, Martin is back"? Did they like fall into some roles or some ways of doing stuff that was kind of comfortable for them? Did they say anything about, you know, what did they say to you when you came back, I guess is the question.
So we had the conversation mostly one-on-one and in chat group, not even voice, because I understand that it's better for us to talk that way. I had with certain people on the team, and they told me that the thing wasn't really going great with Snags, and they just dug themselves a hole that they somehow wanna miraculously tournament, and then they went back to that hole which they bomb out of next star ladder in the groups against, losing to Enza and BIG. So it was I think they were glad that I'm back, but you know, we have to reinvent ourselves in order to become top one. I feel like, or top 2 team in the world. We can't continue what we had before, but for the rest of the season I decided not to interfere with what they have. But I think if we qualify for the major from the minor, we're gonna have like 1 month gap, which I think we're going to use to just completely reinvent our team as it works. I think we have to be more professional.
Rob said something that effect too when I talked to him. I'm just thinking, you know, if this like goes all the way down to your personality, your cultural differences, your like the linguistical differences you have, don't you think it's like a little bit too much of a mouthful? Do you actually think that you can stir up all that and then mold it into something completely different, or do you feel like there are certain barriers to how much more you can improve?
There are barriers, but these barriers are not they are breakable. I feel like FaZe was top 1 team at one point where they just broke all the differences. It wasn't, in my opinion, it wasn't because they were such good individual players. It was because they had something working for them well. They were all motivated. They were all working professionally or within the realms of being professional. They were all putting hours in and everything. So this is not the issue that this like linguistical barrier. Linguistical barrier and cultural barrier can be problem in long term. Let's say living in a gaming house, not a good idea for us. Not a good idea for FaZe. Living just, traveling to event, living at the hotel rooms constantly, in the practice rooms constantly, not a good idea for us as well. We need to have days off and we need to spend time with family. It's just how it works in our regime, I would say. Even though it's same with the FaZe. I think whenever I watch the Instagram of FaZe players, I see them like, or interviews, I see them taking not vacations, but like they're not practicing that much as other teams. I don't know. It's maybe my personal feeling. Maybe I'm judging too much of a social media, but it's like the way they do it and that style works. Not everyone has to put 12 hours per day, like, I don't know, let's say Astral is probably doing. Or not in game, but talking about game.
Yeah. No, they probably are. I mean, I think it probably amounts to 12 hours a day when they are going hardest. So
can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
So I don't know how to frame it actually, but a lot of people are just like modeling themselves on Astralis nowadays. It's like they do this is good, so we're going to be doing this. And most of it's in game, but now, like especially the last month or so, there have been more talk about, even you mentioned it now, about their coach, about like skipping events, prioritizing, having all of these things set in place to actually be like very, very good. But now when you're talking about mouse sports improving for next year, it's more about like the in-game, between players, communication, stuff like that. Is there like even a discussion about the outside of the game part, about having, I mean, you mentioned it also just like briefly, the whole thing about like a sports psychologist that you had in Cloud9. Do you think that is actually what you need to become like the top 2 in the world again maybe? Yeah, you were top 2 for a short period this year.
That's a good question. I don't think it's correct to copy Astralis mindset right here. Let's say I see at the events here in Odense, for example, at the Pro League, I saw them like, taking lunch together, coming all at the same time, leaving almost like at the same time, just spending time together in general. But that in our team, that would never work. Some people like to eat the different things at different times, so they just want to do it by themselves. Personally, I love eating alone. I love like playing deathmatch late in the night, but some people like to sleep in, play deathmatch even longer and then sleep in the morning. So it's not going to, like, we're never gonna be on the same page. Outside of the game, I don't think it's good to copy Astralis. In game, it might be. Like, they're professionals. They all take seriously what they do 100% all of the time. But outside of the game, it comes to the just personal preference, I think, in my opinion.
I think you can bank on the fact that they were probably also like this once. I mean, I think it's pretty safe to say that they weren't like personally very professional at all times throughout their careers. I think they also deathmatch until late night and got up early, and then someone said, hey, you want to win this? You have to do it like this. You have to be more professional. You have to treat it like a job. You have to not lose sleep. You have to do all the things that we've obviously heard that some of the bigger orgs are doing right now. I mean, don't you think that it's possible to change yourself in that way? I mean, changing your sleep schedule can't be like that hard if the goal is to like become the number one, player or team in your game. I mean, I think don't you think that the goal might maybe be huge enough for you to make these changes? I mean, even though that they aren't your personality.
That's true. I mean, it might work, but I don't agree with you that someone told them do this and you're gonna win. What was told to them, I think, is try this and let's see if it works, and it worked for them. But I'm pretty sure outside of the game, we found the balance that is not gonna get any better. It's just in-game stuff. Just we all like to do our things, and that's it. For example, at the events, we don't really practice with other teams. Whereas I'm pretty sure other teams are looking for practice every day, at least 2 hours. Even if they have match at like 2 p.m., they wake up early and they try to find a scrim or practice before the game, even though it's kind of impossible. But that's what they try to do. They want to play warm-up game before the actual game on stage. Whereas we in Mousesports, I can't even remember when we practiced last time. I mean, at the event.
Okay, yeah.
But then we traded off at the practice days when we're home. We're practicing as much as we can, basically.
Okay.
But I can remember ever since I came back into the lineup, we did probably maybe like 3 games at IEM Chicago. We played some Brazilian teams, which were just I don't even know them, honestly. We could have just played FaZe at this point. I honestly, no offense to anyone who played there, but it was just I didn't know the players back then. I can't even remember on top of my head who was there.
Maybe it was Prof.
Yeah, Prof.
I know he plays FaZe a lot.
Yes, in America, of course. Banned all the European servers.
Yeah, exactly.
Lars, I think it's very wise of you to try to throw us all off the scent, because everyone knows that you guys are just cranking CS players off of conveyor belts over there in Denmark. So you're not fooling me.
No, it's like
at least.
You've seen Alien, right? You've seen the movies Alien.
Yeah.
It's like we have these huge caves. That's kind of like the orcs in Lord of the Rings, right? They come out of the walls. So they just spawn out. It's like a deathmatch. They just pop up. It's ridiculous. You can't go down the street without running into some CS pro these days. You know.
When Device was born, he actually just burst out of someone's chest, fully formed, with an op in his hand.
We have actually
MVP award.
This is actually true. We in Denmark we're actually at the forefront of like fertility science. So we have some of the biggest cryo banks in the world. Actually, there were some stories
DNA
about
manipulation.
There were some of the some very nasty stories about some of these actually making too many babies out of the same donors. You know what I mean? So I think that's what happened here. Maybe I think. Sometime, you know, some 1.6 player when things weren't really that, you know, there weren't that much money in it. He went down, donated a lot of his stuff, and then now we, like 16 years later, we have this scene right now.
Well, at least the Astralis guys will be taken care of in retirement. They have a revenue-making opportunity.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're gonna be signing newborns into organizations and just thinking of, this is the one. This is the one.
No, like, yeah, I mean, we have some of the youngest, you know, a guy like Steven from Fractors.
Yeah.
Like, he was
16 or something.
For 15 when he was first making waves into the scene, I think. Yeah. No, it's because it's so dark and cold and we have nothing else to do. I think that's the actual explanation for that.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And I don't mean donating to sperm banks. I mean playing computer. Go ahead, Prof.
I think I talked to Horvey. Yeah, he played his... Maybe he won't be playing, some new rumors, but he plays with INTZ and they have a house in Canada. And he said, like, I mean, it's pretty cold up there, but you have nothing else to do, so you're just playing CS all the time. So it's better for us here than anywhere else, the boot camp. So that's kind of the thinking. That's also what I agree with. When you look at Europe and all the like hot places, like Italy has literally no scene at all, just because it's like good weather half of the year. So Spain is also like kind of shit, let's be honest. I mean, you have a few players, but it's a huge country. You should have more. So,
I feel like there's one country you should mention in this row here.
Albania, maybe. I don't know. Also down on the sea. Greece, Portugal. Didn't have a scene for a long time. So if you have hot weather, bad CS. That's how it works.
Canada also good for INTZ because their full team can actually enter the country. So
That's true.
hidden benefit there.
This is probably
Thanks
also.
previous organizations that didn't handle the visas correctly, I guess. Maybe.
Oh. So we actually had a bunch of questions for you, Martin, that we're gonna dive into now. A bunch of them in the chat. If you have any more, please put them there. There were also some on Twitter. We're gonna go over those. Now that we're talking about Astralis, I guess that there are a few people just framing it differently. Where do you see, if it even exists, a possible weakness in Astralis? And another guy asks, which team do you think has the biggest chance to dethrone them? Now that you talked about some of the ways that they do things, you see any way to bring them down?
I see, surprisingly, maybe for some Fnatic bringing them down.
Oh.
I
Huh?
think they have had some pretty close matchups somewhere. I think, wasn't it IM Chicago?
IM Chicago, they almost beat them.
They
It
should
was
have won
overtime
that
on
game.
Inferno.
Yes,
Yeah.
that overtime. I remember that Inferno game. We were having a signing session at the time, I think, or something like that. And I remember watching that game. I remember JW Ninja defusing in the smoke, 1v2 on B.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I remember that game. I think Fnatic has a pretty good chance in doing that. I think they have good understanding of the game, especially against Danes. My opinion on that. And what was the other part of the question? Was it?
Oh, yeah, it was what team, but then also like what specific weaknesses do you
weakness.
see? Yeah, if there is
Yeah,
any.
weakness right now. We don't. It's not obvious one, but once they start losing, it's gonna be confidence definitely. Right now, they feel like. I bet they feel like on top of the world. That's what I felt when I won one tournament. Can't believe what is it to win 10 in 1 year. So the huge confidence with that they have right now, it's just they are doing things on the server with such a confidence that even though if you have perfect counter, you can't really do much about it. You're just gonna lose just duels, that you will win against any other team 9 out of 10 times, but it's impossible against Astralis. And clutches, I'm not saying about clutches. In clutches, they have to be super confident.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
that's the thing. Once they start losing, it's gonna just, I think, snowball into something bigger.
I mean, they have been known, at least the core has been known to get into slumps. I mean, there's been a few, so...
I have had a theory, actually, in this Intel Grand Slam final, when they were, again in the final, they beat us in semifinal. It was pretty straightforward. They got into final, yeah, but then there's something bigger standing behind it, which was like this $1 million thing. I had this theory that they're gonna choke again like old TSM in semifinals every time, They were afraid to win semifinals to get into finals. It looked like that, at least from a spectator point of view. And after first map, I was like, dude, this can't happen again. After first map that they lost to Liquid in this best of 5, which was Train, and Device was not showing up on second map as well.
It was really bad.
I was really, really worried that it might be this thing again that prevented them
Were
back
you
then.
worried or you like kind of happy? at the
Secretly
same
happy.
time?
Well, obviously, I think everyone wanted to be the one winning the first Intel Grand Slam. So, and now Astralis just denied it for every player of us. So, in hard, I think everyone was a little bit cheering for Liquid in that final, but I was happy to see Astralis lifting the trophy in the end. I don't know, it felt like this. If someone deserves it, it's them. So good props to them.
It makes sense, right?
But I'm just saying that I had really this feeling that they're gonna choke again, and first 2 maps were really worrisome for me, as they overcame something in the past and then it hound them back again. But luckily they proved me wrong and they won it.
Luckily, you say.
Yeah.
With a silent smirk.
Luckily for Astralis.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Let's see here. Maurice asks on Twitter for you specifically, STYKO. As a support player, how much hate do you receive from the fans for your stats? How do you keep cool? And this was actually something that I remember writing as a preface to the interview I did with you when you were just inactive. I think coming home from C9 and not yet confirmed in Mouse. But I mean, that goes without saying, in your position, stats might not maybe be what you get most of or the highest of. How do you cope with that?
Yeah, well, hate is inevitable in my kind of role. It's just coming. Sometimes it's pouring. Yeah, you can't avoid it. Even though you say to yourself you're gonna dodge the social media, you want to write home. You get at Facebook and you want to write home that, hey, I'm traveling tomorrow. Hope is everything's fine. And then you see the message from the guy who's not even your friend. I mean, you don't see it, right? But you can open it and you see it coming. Sometimes it pops on your phone, and I just instantly delete it, or not delete it, but delete it from my notification center. So I'm really cautious in my not professional social media, which is like Twitter and Instagram. I'm really careful who I add a friend as on the social media, and if they're talking to me after the bad games and everything. But my family kind of knows by now that if we fail the tournament, don't even ask me a question about it. Just when I arrive home, just be silent, make me dinner, and that's it. But when we place good, I allow them to speak about it.
I mean, classic Eastern European
yes.
behavior. Yeah. Give me food, shut up. And then maybe if I let you talk, you can talk.
I'm pretty grumpy when I come home, but then I sleep and it's all better. But on Instagram, I'm trying to just dodge it all together because it's easy there, and on Twitter as well. I'm just being careful who I follow, and they can't get to me. So
that's funny because, like, I would say that in Scandinavia, or at least in Denmark, like the way to go would be to talk about your loss and like analyze it through, and I'd be really like grumpy, but in an outward way instead of doing what you said there. Like I feel like that's very different. I think, at least for me.
I'm down to analyzing bad things, but with the people who actually can analyze.
Yeah.
Not with
and after
my parents who just say, "Whoa, this device, he killed it through smoke again. Why?" And I'm like, "Mom, you don't even understand this."
All right.
How did he know you're defusing? Because there's a bomb and I have to defuse it. He knows where it's planted. He knows. Yeah, it's really frustrating for me to talk about these things with people who are not from gaming. And in Slovakia, there's like 5 people from gaming. So
I don't know. Maybe that's what you need. Maybe you need someone that comes completely from somewhere else who can.
Maybe your mom can be the sports psychologist for mouse sports. What do you think about that?
Yeah, she wants to cook for us for some time. She wants us to fly her to events, and she's gonna cook.
Is she good? Is she any good?
I mean, I can't tell no. She's my mom.
I hope she's not watching this.
And I really need to have a dinner after this HLTV conference show, so I'm really hoping, Mom, it's great.
What are you hoping for? Right? What is the ideal food you'd have right now, like Slovakia?
It's a chicken and rice, bro. It's because potatoes are everywhere here. We literally, I don't know. This is potato country. I hate potatoes.
What is this stream turning
This
into?
is tractor. This is some tractor.
She hates potatoes. You just like go into the field, destroy all the potato crops, kill them, and then eat rice.
Martin, there was a guy who actually wanted to know, and me as well, where the tractor thing comes from. Actually, the guy is Don Hachi.
Oh yeah.
He's unsurprisingly has the highest or the most liked tweet reply to our tweet.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb story, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I people ask me about it all the time, but it was one evening I wasn't verified on Twitter yet, and I wanted to trick this verify button from emoji, like I'm putting up emoji keyboard and I'm finding this green tick, and I wanted to put it behind my name, but Twitter, apparently they are so clever that they just, any tick emoji, you just can't put it there. So I raged and I swiped randomly through my keyboard and I hit random emoji, which was this tractor, and ever since I got this tractor there. It's like no meaning at all. It's just random tractor, and now everything I get, like presents, birthday, from CS friends and thing like that, it's tractor team. I don't know if this was a good idea.
But you did remove it for some time, and then you had bad results, and then I was tweeting at you like, why did you do this?
I don't even know why I deleted it. I think I was a bit mad and was like, okay, tractor is not working well, so I'll try something else. But now, then I realized the tractor is my signature.
It's good to have, right?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, the emoji, when you see it, you instantly think of me.
That's true.
Yes.
Even
I mean,
like not gaming friends, they just see the emoji for some reason. No one ever uses it, right? Who would use tractor? People who have tractor don't have internet, so they won't use it. No offense, no offense.
I know a lot of
2000, almost 19. Like people have like AI tractors, like smart tractors to drive themselves and shit.
Dude, that's great. That's great. Actually, my daughter, who's 2 years old, her favorite toy in daycare is the green tractor, and every time I see it, I'm like, looks like what does this remind me of? What does this remind me of? So I guess you're right. You know, it actually, like, the power of suggestion is pretty strong. So this might interest you as well, Joe. But I think it's directed at Martin. You guys can fight a little bit about that. Ask STYKO who he thinks the best NA player is.
Martin can go first.
Or Joe can. Maybe Joe, you can take it first. So then
CS player?
Oh, the question is from Martin. So.
Counter-Strike player, yeah.
Oh. What do you mean? Yeah.
Well, we're not talking about Super Smash Bros.
I'm like, what? This is not Rocket League show.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I played only with a bunch of them, right? But most complete was definitely Tim Automatic.
Huh?
So I would go with Automatic.
Okay, why?
Just great individual player, all-around player, good in-game lead, good op, pistols, rifler. Also very smart in terms of helping strategies, just game plan preparation with Soham. In general, talking with Golden, I remember him going over the strats with Golden a lot. He was trying to implement the EU stuff into NA, and Automatic was trying to show him why NA things are actually good, and you could like interfere with both, you know, spheres. And also really just humble guy, overall great to talk with. So most complete player I have ever played with, actually.
Does that satisfy his North American lordship on the show?
Yeah, I think Automatic's interesting, right? Because he was really unheralded until he found his way to Cloud9, when people were like, who the hell is this guy?
Yeah.
And then he just kind of like wowed a lot of people. But for me, I'd probably lean towards Naf, I think. Naf, just like every team that he's been on recently has had their peaks as a team, like with him usually putting in like huge performances when the teams do well. And I think it was Smuya last week who was saying that like when he watches Naf, he looks like someone who doesn't actually understand how the game works and how to play it, but he's just like so like mechanically skilled that it works out for him. And I think that's selling Naf a little bit short. But I mean, he's dangerous with any weapon. As long as it has bullets in it, he can get you and do damage with it. So yeah, I mean, for me, it would probably be, and this is a little bit biased by like just where the teams are kind of right now, where Liquid and C9 are relative to each other. But for me, right now, it has to be one of those three Liquid guys, Naf, Elysian, and Twists.
Yeah, I mean, taking that point further, I guess also the problem that Automatic Tim has is that he's like in a team that's in sort of in shambles, or at least has been, like compared to where they were at the beginning of the year. They certainly had their troubles, as you know, also. It's so much easier to like really be hyped for this guy that plays for the best team and the second best team in the world, and when they're doing great, I mean, it's kind of like dragging you down a little bit, maybe, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's really hard to rate people on a everything else being equal scenario, because that's just not the reality that we live in.
But I definitely support the Naf claim in some part, just because he's kind of the special guy, just in Liquid, especially them being, I don't know what's going to happen with them, but for this year, they've been like mega tactical, doing everything right, doing the fundamentals, you have Nav that kind of doesn't fit at all, but at the same time, you need like their wins, even like the Supernova Malta one, he was the MVP. When they beat Australis in the best of one, he was like going off, doing things that aren't planned at all. And that's kind of how they actually do the big things. So that makes him a very special player for me, at least. I don't know. It just, I appreciate what he brings to the team. And I think if he maybe had more consistency in that, they could have been better in this year. But obviously, things just didn't work out as they wanted them.
Martin, there's one guy who wants to know what were some of the best tournaments regarding gameplay or matches this year. Like, if you can put yourself into the equation, you can keep yourself out. Like, was there one event that kind of was the highlight of the year for you, gameplay wise? Was there anything you saw that was like so new and awesome that you remembered it for the rest of the year?
Is this like a viewer or as?
This a viewer? No, this is a Twitter guy.
I don't even know the right answer. I would say it was second part of the year. I really liked the major because there were a lot of upsets. So teams got into top 8, like Complexity and teams like that. So I enjoyed watching them getting there. I think it was really good. I was a spectator back then, but I don't know. Maybe I am Chicago. I really liked the Fnatic game right there. So Fnatic against the Strides that we mentioned.
Yeah. The Inferno overtime thing.
Yeah, I think that was really, really good Counter-Strike. Also, this best of 5 Liquid against Astralis. I don't know. First map was kind of meh. No, I didn't really watch it. But second one was Mirage, and then you see like there were consecutive 6 rounds where you have 6 highlights in those 6 rounds. Like everyone was making a play, and even I think Prof tweeted about it at one point that literally everyone was getting the plays done, and it was every time the different player every round. It was just beautiful to watch. So yeah, I would say I am Chicago, and then towards the rest of the year it was this final in Odense.
That's a great pronunciation, by the way. I think that's one of the best I heard.
I really need to blow my nose, so that's why I think I guessed it correctly.
So only when you're like on the verge of falling over from sickness, you can pronounce Danish properly. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
That's actually pretty correct. That's depressingly correct, actually.
Now let's hear you pronounce a certain 4-letter person on Optic, or not Optic, on North.
I'm never going to do that again. Not after last time. Nope. No fucking way. I will say Gel again. Guys, there's
a lot of questions.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions. STYKO, is there any CS player you look up to? I remember you looking up to Guardian, but is there anyone else, or is it still him? Maybe.
In game wise, right now, probably just Sipnix. For what he does, it's similar to me, but he's just better. I want to be the better one, so I'm looking up to him, and I'm watching a lot of his demos. Not trying to copy him, but trying to understand him rather.
You talk to him ever?
Rarely. We just, just hi, how's it going and everything. I don't really have that kind of time to talk about the game or something. And I understand some people are they're not okay with sharing their wisdom in game, It's something that some players are really secure about, and they don't want to let you know something for free. If you understand what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I think people on the outside also don't really understand what it's like being at the CS event. Like, it's not like people actually have that much time to just like talk to each other. Mostly, if you're a player there, you're going to be having like, oh, I have this match, so I need to do like breakfast, I don't know, maybe gym, team talk, a setup, deathmatch, warm up, play the match, then like post-match talk, and literally people are busy all the time. It's not like people just like chill out, talk with each other like, for 2 hours or whatever. Like most of the day is pretty packed, so literally the only time you have to talk is like after parties. That's the only time people actually really communicate with each other and get to know each other. So it's most of the players nowadays, I feel like, don't really know each other that well. It's like everyone has like 5-10 people that they're good with outside of the team, and that's it, more or less.
With the practice rooms coming into, into basically every event, you don't really have time to do anything. And if you have time, you want to stay on top of your individual shape. So you just go into the practice room and you deathmatch, or you play FPL, or you play FaZe, whatever you like. So yeah, I think it has changed in the past 2 years. 2 years ago, it wasn't a norm to have a practice room at a hotel or something. So you just, you could play only at the event where there were 10 PCs, and you just set up and play. Rest of the day was basically free for you. Right now you practice, you individually practice, you practice with a team, you just use your time as best as you can, especially when you travel half a planet to get to the event. You're jet lagged, you sometimes want to get your schedule, on point. Sometimes you want to have your individual skill, which because you travel 24 hours. So yeah, that's the thing.
Do you miss the old days, like how it used to be?
Not really. I like it having now. I'm playing in more comfort zone right now than as I was before, but at the same time, the competition is harder. Everyone is literally everyone on point. So even if you travel to, let's say, if you have teams traveling from North America back to Europe 2 years ago, sometimes they had to play the next day they arrive. So it was considered an easy match. But right now it just doesn't work that way. You have media days, you have to do interviews, you have to look good for pictures, videos, whatever. So you have some time before you play when you actually fly to Europe or to NA. So
Starfleet Admiral, what an amazing name, asks, would you still like to make a Czechoslovakian team in a few years, and do you think it could be successful?
Potentially, yes. I think I would like to come back and share with other players from my region what I learned abroad. I think Guardian would be up for the task as well. Although recently there has been some rumors that he just wants to win a major, and that's it for him.
Pull the plug on
Yeah.
CS.
But even though if he does that, I think I could persuade him if we ever make this team to join. But there would be a question whether he will take it as serious as maybe some young guys that's going to be like only option for them to go international. And I want to be on the same page on the team. So there raises a question whether Guardian will be capable of with things like family going on. I understand his private life. I don't want to share it here, but there's certain things that might hinder his future approach to Counter-Strike as a whole, especially when he wins the major, when he will feel satisfied. So I definitely want to build one. If it's going to be with Guardian is a question. It's up to him. I didn't spoke to him for a long time, so maybe I should talk to him soon.
Maybe you should.
Yeah.
So there was actually, this was also ties into another question that some people have been asking us. I think every time we do this thing, is the strength of international teams and the positive feedback that people who go back to their own scene, start up teams and stay within it and teach new stars how to play that. Do you think? I mean, obviously you would. That's what you would do, right? But how would you rate that? Like having sort of legends come back to raise their own people back up.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I was always taught this in school, for example. So I translated from school. In Slovakia, it isn't really okay to leave a country for better education, but everyone is still doing it. And once you do it, what you are told all the time is, please, in few years, come back and learn us what you learned abroad. Build something here. And this is kind of mentality that I have right now in CS as well. So even if I become like really good player internationally, at some point I want to come back. Maybe not even as a player, maybe as build an organization, or to stay within esports, or be just whatever streamer. But you know, in my free time, I want to educate people how to actually play the game here, how to be careful in contract situations, and be just exclusively for Czech and Slovakia Republic because the scene is, you know, grouped up and together. I want to help these people to just move somewhere because this is the only way how we can produce more talents. And this is why we don't have much, because we are, even me and Guardian, I think we are pretty, how to say this, unexperienced when it comes to this. It happened only a few times for us that we actually signed a contract with real pen, you know? So
what is it?
It happened
in Hellraisers
3
you
times.
signed with blood? Or
Yeah, it was Hellraisers, you know? You sign with blood with the devil.
yeah.
No. It was Angel sitting on top of me. I mean, not on above me. wait. Oh, seriously.
Mental images
Yeah,
going
stop
on anywhere.
I screwed it up, right? Oh, sorry, Angel. Sorry. And no, seriously, but you have to, you know, we signed contracts like Guardian signed professional contract with whom? With Virtus.pro, with Navi, and with FaZe. Maybe he re-signed, a few of them like over the couple of months that he has been there, but it's like when I first signed my contract, it was such a bullshit. Like no one, I was so happy that I got it, you know? So I was like, yeah, I read it and I think this is pretty good, so I will sign it. But then after 1 month, after not discussing it with anyone, after 1 month, I realized that this is actually shit. When I'm talking to teams on events and other players, I actually realized that this is not that beneficial for me. So, and I'm pretty glad that in mouse sports we had actually think that we never had before when we re-signed new contracts. That was negotiation. You know, we actually, for the first time as a player, I or my teammates proposed the terms that were met. So this is kind of a thing that I want to teach young guys, because you know, when you get into esports, you're usually 15, 16, 17. You're young. You don't even know how real life works. I don't even know it myself by now, and I'm 23 almost. So yeah.
Are you telling me you haven't negotiated a contract until the latest one you did? After how many years in the scene?
Well, for the first year, I didn't even know there's a term called negotiation. So yeah, I mean, I didn't negotiate first 2 years, first two contracts that I ever signed. Then I started to kind of put my own terms in there, not own, but me and my teammates, we started to just kind of, you know, twinkle in the numbers there. So yeah.
You guys negotiated jointly, or
what does it mean jointly?
Collective bargaining,
together,
my friend.
Together.
Yeah.
Yeah. We sat in a team speak with us players and manager, and we just talked about it. Like, could this be done? This could be removed. This could be added. This could be tweaked a little bit. He said yes on certain things, no on certain things. These negotiations went on for weeks. It wasn't done in 20 minutes. It was, yeah, let me think about it, and then I will reach back to you. And this is how it works in esports, and this is how it should work. So, but in Slovakia, let's say,
life, dude.
I'm pretty sure if someone in Slovakia or Czech Republic right now gets a contract from professional team, they wouldn't even think about putting terms, their own terms in there. They would just sign it like I did. I want to come back and I want to learn these people teach these people that this is what you can actually do with people wanting you in the team.
That's actually, we wanted to talk about this anyway, and I guess the MIBR thing a little bit later on is actually maybe the correct way or time to do it. But we wanted to talk to you about this concerning what's his name, Caserato, in Brazil, who was rumored as the new guy in MIBR, and they found out, no, actually you can't go because your buyout is like insanely huge. Well, I don't recall the actual number reported. What was it? Do you guys remember?
Reported to
200,000. Yeah.
Crazy. So you obviously can't share, I mean, I guess your contract or the specifics of it, but is it also typical? Have you seen like these buyouts as well? Because it was like the hot topic this year, I guess, the buyout clauses in player contracts. What do you feel about those?
Yeah, I think it's pretty stupid to just have a real number put into contract. Let's say someone wants to buy you, it's 500k. It's stupid. It has to be a equation. Let's say, example. I'm not gonna say obviously what we have in a contract, but optimal equation would be, let's say, your salary multiplied by months you're still under the contract, multiplied by some coefficient, or if you know what it means, is it correct? Yeah. Is it some factor? Yeah.
Yeah.
Some factor which is dependent. Let's say it could be 0.5 if you're like not that big organization, then you probably want to sell your players for less. If I mean to meet the how's it called negotiation terms with the other teams. But if you're like pretty good organization, then you probably put this factor on 1.5. So you're actually above what you are spending on this player. So you actually profit from the selling this player.
Yeah, obviously.
If that makes sense. So this kind of formula, I think it is correct way to approach buyouts instead of just putting a raw number in it, and whether your contract ends in 1 year or whether it ends in 2 weeks, you're all guys gonna cost 500k. That's stupid. That's stupid. I hope I will never come across a contract that has this issue in it, because in the modern world, it's just you're just scamming the player. If you're an organization and you put this in your contract, you're scamming your player.
But that's why you say no, right? That's where you look at it.
Yes, that's
not
where you just
after a month.
yeah, like this is stupid. Like, how can you just think about it logically? How can you sell me for the same amount even if I'm 1 week away from getting out of the contract? But let's say it's a major time and some team really need me to buy out. You're not gonna allow me to leave or what? And they say, yeah, we're gonna allow you to leave, but after they pay this sum, which is the same as tomorrow after you sign this contract. It's just, stupid.
I mean, that's the thing. Like when this whole discussion came about, that how can they ask 200,000? That's too much. They're destroying his career. Blah blah blah. They're not developing the scene. Whatever. No one even took an account when he signed. No one knows that stuff. People are just like saying random stuff because they think, they should just let him go. He should just have a great career with MIBR because they're the better team. Like in the end, no one is talking about what does the org need to actually be successful. And they actually qualified for the minor, so they could potentially make the major, get stickers, get all that stuff done. And that's like a month away. So I feel like the whole discussion about they needed to let him go is kind of doesn't make sense for them as an org.
That's just romanticizing, I guess. How huge MIBR is and Fallen, and like that's maybe just like kind of fanboyism. That's saying that this is like the highest priority for any Brazilian player or fan. That any player who wants to get to play with these guys once in their lifetime.
I mean, you have to look at it from the organization's perspective as well. I mean, it's not good for them a month before they're. I mean, looking at it just like realistically, getting to a minor and then potentially getting to a major, because the America's minor isn't that competitive, so there's always a chance. That is literally the dream for a lot of people. So taking him out of that team and putting him into MIBR would mean like that these 4 players that are in Furia would probably be in a shittier position, taking away their chance to get to the major. It's not like, this guy just now deserves everything and fuck off everyone else. It's kind of more complicated than that, I feel like.
So, talking about players moving in and out, let's move on with the show. Actually, we only managed 2 topics out of 6. We spent an hour already. Let's talk a little bit about a person and a player and a team that we mentioned a bunch of times on the show. Actually, we were debating whether FaZe were going to make changes, I guess, ever since episode 10 or something like that. I think once they won Epicenter, I guess it kind of dwindled a little, but then fired back up since they haven't really been winning that much since. So it finally happened. Did you guys see the tweet that he put out himself, Karrigan? The gift that he used
some funny GIF.
Yeah.
I don't know, NBA stuff or something.
Yeah, like the guy from the Heat who's like, oh shit. Oh, I guess this is okay anyway. Basketball memes, you like those, huh, Joe? Oh, and wait, you're a baseball guy. Sorry.
I am a baseball guy. I hate basketball, actually.
Oh, sorry. Here's the tweet anyway. Benched will write a longer statement at another point. If any orgs are interested, contact FaZe. We're still waiting for that. 3 days ago, the longer statement. I'm anxious to read it. So I guess most people would say this was kind of the inevitable move, right? And he himself even said that he was on the chopping block up until I think that was before the Blast Pro Copenhagen event that he said he was definitely endangered. So what do you guys think? The sensible move to make?
I think Joe didn't like have more than 2 sentences, so I'll let him.
Go ahead, Joe.
I mean, it's all these moves. It's hard to tell what's sensible from the outside, right? Like, clearly things aren't working in FaZe because they're not winning, and too much money has been spent on that team for them to not be winning. So, I mean, yeah, when things aren't working, it's logical you change a piece. Is it logical that you change your IGL? Probably. It's hard to say what the problem with FaZe is. On paper, they should definitely be contending. And there just are tournaments where they look absolutely lost. So is that a problem with the IGL? Is that a problem with the coach? Is that a problem with other factors of the team? Who can say? This did seem inevitable from like the point where they decided that like, oh, NiKo is just gonna IGL now. Sometimes, maybe, who can tell? No one knows. I feel like when you reach that point within a team, then it's obvious that your IGL's days are numbered.
Okay. What do you think,
Yeah,
Prof?
that's kind of even when it happened the first time after the major, then NiKo didn't call, and he called, blah blah whatever. Like the first time it came up to everyone's attention that Karrigan isn't calling, it felt like, okay, when are you gonna change the roster? Get someone else in, because if he's not calling, maybe in some other team, in a team that's more, I don't know, like a North or whatever, or some like team that is more slow, more tactical, maybe he can be just like a kind of support player or whatever. But on FaZe, which is like a superstar team, everyone needs to be mega great fraggers. Literally makes no sense to have Karrigan. So it was just, for me, it was just a matter of time when it happened. So it kind of, I guess, I mean, even NiKo, I think, said it at one point that they really want the Grand Slam. So, okay, we're not going to change anything. We're going to try. Maybe we're going to win it. They won Epicenter, which is kind of a good tournament, but they couldn't get the Grand Slam wins. So when Astralis won this, and now they didn't do anything at Blast, it's okay, this is the end. Let's find someone else for the major, and let's like try with the new roster.
Oh,
Actually, if I can say about this, I see 2 options for FaZe right now. That's either getting a in-game leader, which is going to take pressure off of NiKo, which is obvious one that everyone sees. But the second one is that everyone is kind of ignoring is the fact that NiKo is, in my opinion, capable of in-game leading with the right help of coach. I am not sure whether Robin is that analytical and he helps with stuff, but if rumors are true and, you know, Yenko are going out of MIBR, there might be a connection with FaZe. And I think if Yenko, if he learned a lot on MIBR from Fallen and vice versa, I think he can come to FaZe, help NiKo to in-game lead, and then if that happens, I would love to see someone on FaZe getting into more utility player. So not a star one, but someone who helps.